Here we go. We are live. We are live. We are live. We are happy to be alive. It is Tuesday. I'm kind of losing track of days, man. I don't know. I don't know about you, but it's kind of Groundhog's Day and it's all blending together.
It is all blending together. Groundhog Day is the same way I've explained it to a lot of people. It does. It just feels like every day is the same. So I have to be intentional about making it different.
Exactly. Hold on. Let's let this bad boy load up. We're competing with Gary Vaynerchuk going live. You know, it's tough. You gotta compete with Gary V out there.
Does he know who you are?
Does Gary know?
Does he know who you are? Because come on.
He's definitely he definitely knows. It's actually interesting. I'll tell you in 1 second here. Let's just make sure what's happening. We'll do our proper intro. Make sure it's coming up on people's feedometers here. Yeah, we're live. What we got going on here? We are loading up on the old LinkedIn machine. Let this thing load up here. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. I feel like I've been doing this every day. It is the 31st day of March in the year 2020, but it doesn't feel like the last day of March. It feels like day 872 of March in the year 2020. I don't know about you, but I feel like, you know, my 90-day guarantee period with 2020 is up and I want to return it. I want to send 2020 back. I'm done with this shit. I want to return it and I want to get a new one. That's how I feel, Matt.
You know, I got mixed feelings on all that because I don't know, as challenging as it's been and some of the stuff that's been super hard and has really triggered me at times. At the same time, I'm like, wow, it's like, this is crazy to experience history.
Oh yeah.
Like, as long as this doesn't get too out of control, like, all right, we can reel it in soon. But at the same time, I'm like, man, this is wild.
Wild.
So it's yeah. Every day feels like April Fool's, which would be tomorrow.
Ooh.
And so yeah, it can't wait for the government to say it was all a big joke.
I wish, man. I wish, man. So let's do the proper intro. We are live. It is 4:37 here on the East Coast, and in Austin, Texas, it's what, an hour earlier, right?
We are 3:36 p.m.
3:36. So they're actually an hour and 1 minute earlier than here. They're a minute slower because in New York we're a minute faster. I'm with my amazing guest today, Matt Gagnon. He didn't know how I was going to pronounce it, but Matt is incredible. Yeah, we're going to do the full intro in a minute there. I had Matt as a kind of a surprise last-minute guest on my show last week. I've been doing the podcast live. I've been trying to do it daily during the week. It's becoming a lot, man. But I'll tell you something interesting, Matt. I had this kind of thought last night that this show and my podcast and all the content production that I've been doing over the last year, in the last 3 weeks, it's been what's keeping me sane, man. It's been keeping me sane on a couple of levels. One, the consistency, the effort, the level of work and time that's going into it is giving me something to focus on rather than all the BS crap that's going on out there. It's giving me something positive. Second of all, if we didn't have this situation out there, there's a good chance that you and I would have never connected. We won't be having this conversation. I'm sure we would have connected at some point, but maybe not as soon. And I'm happy and I'm able to create this amazing content and have conversations with folks like yourself and learn more about you and what you do. So for anybody watching, Matt and I were going to have a offline connection, right? We were going to take it offline. We were going to have a networking chat, but I said, you know what, dude, we're gentlemen of the people and we are going to take it to the masses and show people how we do it. So as I mentioned before, Matt came on my podcast live, but we had some other folks there. So we really didn't have a chance to connect and bond and kind of bro it out. So, you know, something that I always like to ask, I'm a recruiter by trade, Matt, but like, tell me who you are and what you do best, brother.
Oh man. And look, we're still going to have an offline talk. That's going to happen. But who I am is probably more important than what I do. So first and foremost, like I'm a father, I'm a husband. Those are the two things I'm most proud of. I've always wanted to be a dad and I absolutely love it. It's probably the number one reason I made a career change so I could be home with my kid every day. But I'm also somebody that loves to break rules. My number one thing that I go after with breaking rules is those that are unwritten. The things that people think you can't do, but it's not written anywhere. Especially on LinkedIn, everyone's like, you can't do that on LinkedIn. I'm like, where is it in the user agreement? I don't care. So like,
push the limits.
Rules, yeah, like writing about topics you're not supposed to write about. Like I love that stuff. I'm a rule breaker. I'm a music fanatic. Vinyl records, old school music, classic rock, playing the guitar, singing. That stuff keeps me sane. Nature is my big thing, you know. So, and I'm very passionate about serving others, especially making sure that no one feels alone in this world with how they feel. I'm a big mental health advocate. And, you know, I think I'm actually pretty funny too. That's probably something on the list. Yeah, no, I'm pretty hilarious actually.
But I hear that people say that they're funny. Like when someone says like, "Oh, I'm actually funny," that they're not really that funny.
No, I'm hilarious. No, true story. True story, man.
No, I make people piss themselves. I made people piss themselves. That's how I know I'm funny.
You know, here's a funny thing though. Is I have this disorder called cataplexy.
What's that?
Cataplexy is a muscle weakness disorder. It's neurological, and it usually complements narcolepsy, which is also a gift I have. But cataplexy is this thing where when you have extreme emotions, sometimes it can cause you to pass out. The number one reason usually is laughter. So if I laugh too hard, I start seeing stars and then the ship's going down. And it's actually, there's nothing dangerous about it. It's just hilarious. So for my friends, it's like a badge of honor if they tell a joke so good that I just topple over.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's even funnier when I'm alone watching comedy and I pass out by myself.
I was about to ask you, we'll get to that in a little bit, right? Like, so what's the protocol if you're alone? Like, you know, let's just say this conversation gets, you know, real funny and you pass out. Do I have to literally like call your neighbor from here
I'll be
in
fine.
New York?
I'll pop back up. You know, it doesn't knock me out. I just go down. So like
kind of like lightheaded.
Oh yeah. I get super stars, everything. And I'm like,
some people pay for that shit.
Oh man. But like I was watching a Netflix comedy special the other day and I'm eating cereal and it was so far. I started shaking. It's like that. And this milk's going all over the place. I couldn't move it. Like I was like, no.
Where were you watching?
Tom Segura, Ball Hog.
You're the second person. You're the second person in 2 days who told me that. So I'm going to put that on my radar.
You got to put it on your radar.
So I watched that. Well, that's on my radar. I watched Pete Davidson, which I thought was pretty funny. I thought it was okay. Like it didn't make me lose it. The Last Comedian. Well, I thought the last Dave Chappelle special was absolutely, he pushed the limits in every, like, I mean, that was, I think, the point of it. He literally pushed the limits in every way. But the last, what was his name? Louis C.K. And I think it's been long enough where we could talk about Louis. I mean, he did some things that like you may not want to do.
Can we talk about him? Yeah, no, I like him too. He's pretty funny.
Well, I don't want the LinkedIn police to get me on there, but we were a couple of years ago, we were at Madison Square Garden, and I really had one of those instances, and maybe I have that what you have, where I laughed so hard, I thought I was having a heart attack. I felt it. He was talking about, I can't really talk about what made me laugh there, but it had to do with two New York City subway rats that were lusting after each other. We'll call it that. And it just got me hysterical, but we're going completely off topic here, and that's usually fine. But getting back to your day-to-day, man. So you're in corporate America. Like, what happened there? What was your kind of epiphany moment when you're like, you know what? No, been there, done that. I'm done with this shit. Done. I'm out of here.
Yeah. No, it was right around my son was born in 2013, and you know, with my wife almost not making it through the birth. It was a pretty big, scary moment. And then a month after that, my dad died just out of nowhere.
Oh, man.
So that was a huge wake-up call, losing my best friend, man.
I'm sorry to hear.
Literally, you know, but he was there for the birth of my son. Like, he got to meet him for like one day, you know? And so, like, when he passed, I mean, I got to say I love you one more time before he passed, not knowing he was going to die.
Not many people have that opportunity.
Yeah. And I was really blessed when he passed and there was nothing left unsaid. So that was a pretty big defining moment. And then it hit me later that year, like probably a couple months after, where I was just like, this traveling 25 nights a month thing, not being able to see my kid, like except on weekends, not knowing
what kind of life is that?
Like, it's not a life. It's like, oh, but you have this 6-figure salary. You got this nice car. You have this, you know, you got everything going on. Everyone's so happy for you, but then you feel ungrateful because you want something different. You know, I'm supposed to feel grateful, but I wasn't. I was miserable. I was so unhappy. They were just days I'd break down. So it was a pretty big defining moment. And I remember, you know, I changed companies. I went to Carter's, and man, my district was crushing it. We were doing so good. And then there were 2 weeks in the company where the whole company was underperforming. And everybody was all of a sudden, like, all these meetings started happening. People were like, we need action plans. We need you to come down on your teams. And I'm like, it's 2 weeks. I was like, right now our teams need us more than ever. They don't need fear. They don't need us coming down on them. I'm like, and it just hit me. I'm like, you know, we're selling friggin' shirts and shoes. We're not curing cancer.
Exactly.
I didn't get the Kool-Aid anymore. It's like the Kool-Aid didn't work. And I was like,
wore off.
No, I'm tired of making people feel excited about working on Thanksgiving. Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's screw our families.
Let's be away from our families. Yeah.
You know, and it just didn't make sense. And I'm not down on people who love their retail jobs, because there are parts of it's really fun, but it just didn't make sense. I felt called to do something bigger in this world. And so that was the big moment where I was like, that's it, I'm done. And then it finally kicked off when my health started failing me. I could feel it. And all of a sudden they were putting me on more and more prescription pills, and it was getting worse and worse. I was like, you know, maybe I don't want another pill. Maybe it's the job. Maybe it's my relationship with the job that's not good either. So
unhealthy.
Once I got so sick, I couldn't work anymore. My mental health crumbled. My physical health crumbled. I was like, that's it. And it was April 10th, 2015, sitting in the parking lot of my doctor's office. I got diagnosed with a handful of more things. And
wow.
I just sat there thinking, I was like, and again, my boss is calling me left and right, like, because we have to get this loss prevention audit done really quickly. And I'm like,
so all this shit was just coming down on you.
They know I'm getting a CAT scan that day and like on my brain and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't care. So yeah, I called HR. It was like the hardest call to make. It was like slow motion. And I hit the call button. And all I remember saying is, I'm going on medical leave and I'm not coming in next week. And then the rest was a blur. And I never went back.
That's it.
Yep. I was also, if anyone out there is thinking like they're going to wait for the perfect time to do this stuff,
it's never a perfect
get used
time.
To waiting. You better get used to waiting, because when I did it,
I
was overdrafting my bank account. It was miserable.
Let's kind of ruminate on that for a minute, because you know I kind of want to interweave. I just had a giant iced coffee.
Me too.
This time, and you know, Gary Vee is calling it a pause, to quote Gary Vee for a minute here, and I think pause is really interesting. Where maybe people could take a deep breath and say, you know what, I've been working my ass off for a really long time, and I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. Maybe this is the universe's way of telling me to kind of evaluate. And think about what's next, or if I should still continue on this path that I'm on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think hitting that pause button and taking an evaluation is a huge thing. That was the first step. Hit pause and asking yourself, like, is this the legacy I want to leave? You know, and is it all worth it? And once I said, well, I've got financial pressure, and I'm like, well, I created my financial pressure. This is my fault. I bought this house. I bought these things. This is my fault. So I got to take accountability for it and say, do I really need these things? Because I heard a lot of my clients, they bitch about like, oh, I can't. I want this so bad. And I'm like, not bad enough, because your actions show that you don't want it, because you still have all these nice things that you
exactly
have to have. So I'm like, your actions say that you want to keep living the life you have.
You kind of hit the nail on the head there. There's two things. One, it's accountability. And for me, and I don't want to go too deep into my story, but I actually will, because tomorrow's the 5-year anniversary of me getting fired from VaynerMedia. And that was also the anniversary when I took accountability of my own actions and really said, everything that happens in my life is me. And I gotta take accountability for it and make those changes. The accountability piece, why is it so hard for so many people to actually stop for a moment and say, you know what? This is in my control. This is what I'm responsible for. This is what I can do. And this is what I legitimately cannot do, because it's out of my control. Like, this virus is out of your control. How you react to it and respond, that's within your control.
Yeah, people don't take accountability because it sucks.
It's hard. Yeah. Hey, quick PSA. Hi, this is accountability on an ad on the podcast. Just reminding everybody that I suck. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it sucks taking accountability. It hurts. It means you can no longer be a victim. And it also means you can no longer be right. Like, we argue about these things. We don't take accountability because we're defending our stance on being right about what we do, you know? And so every day I've got reasons to be, you know, have an excuse. You know, every day when I look at all the different medications that I have to take, I'm like, oh, they're all my excuses. Those are all my crutches. I can say, well, I can't do this stuff. And I'm like, nah, those are all the things that show me how I'm just thriving and overcoming stuff in life. I take accountability for all the things that I have and how I can crush it every day. Yeah. So taking accountability is the first step into like embracing your call to adventure and like experiencing real transformation. because everybody wants transformation, but nobody wants to do the climb to get there.
The work, you got like in anything, fitness, like emotional, physical health, it's the work. So I want to get back to your story here. I'm really interested. So now you're on medical leave. You've kind of already decided, I'm done with this crap. I'm not going back to corporate America. But like, what was that thought process? What was that journey to get you from that day in the parking lot to where you are now?
Man. So I had already started going to coaching school, the Coaches Training Institute. I was halfway through it because I had started that in September 14. And so I'd already found my calling in life and started pursuing it. But again, waiting for the perfect moment to do that jump, you know, and so to do that full time. But there I was, you know, on medical leave. I probably have enough physical energy in me now to work 20 hours a month. And my mental health was a disaster too. So instead of grinding away at building my new business, I knew I had to do things differently. I used to believe that my only gift was like to out hustle and outwork people. And now that was taken away. And so I had to embrace this limiting belief I have that I'm smart, because I used to not think that. I had people like, you know, just always tell me I was a cheerleader and that's it. And no, I'm actually smart. And so I embraced that. And again, I started diving back into the things in my life that I forgot to do. Like I forgot how much I love music, and I forgot how much I love volunteering. It had been years since I volunteered, like working with kids, you know, leaning into faith. Like I hadn't, man, you know, there were
all these things.
Being
your passion came back.
So, yeah, my passion. So instead of investing all my time into work, I invested into redesigning my life. And then I built my work around that.
Awesome.
And it was very challenging because, again, negative bank account most months. You know,
well, yeah, this journey is going to take you. It takes a while from going from that nice 6-figure salary and making that pivot, right? There's a pain in the pivot. There's pain in the pivot, and I think that's what people are scared of the unknown.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the unknown, and there I was in the middle of it. So yeah, I had to not reinvent myself. I had to rediscover, because all the things I was starting to do were all things that I used to love doing, you know, a long time ago. So, and every time I did one of those things, it like poured more energy back into me. And so when I did work those 20 hours in a month, man, I was like so productive. My creativity was alive, and I just started like just on fire. And so, and again, I didn't have a dime in my pocket to buy any kind of marketing tools. You know, I didn't have anything to build a website or business cards. There were times I didn't have gas to even go see a client in person. But every time I thought of a tool that I wanted and I couldn't pay for it, I just found a way to design it myself.
Right. Hack it.
You know, and I spent most of my time building my pitch and being able to articulate, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So I was like, look, if you can't talk about what you do to a total stranger at Starbucks, you have no business buying any marketing tools.
No. And how could you tell it to anybody? Who's going to trust you? I mean, pause on that for a second. I mean, the elevator pitch is such an essential key for anybody, right? Like, especially in this time now when you have downtime and either you're thinking about a pivot, you're thinking about reinventing yourself, you're thinking about doing something different. Before you figure out the end game, you got to start with the foundation. You got to build, all those pieces. So let's talk about your coaching practice. And I find it fascinating whenever I talk to coaches. First question is, what is your coaching approach and mantra?
Yeah. So my slogan is live with a courageous heart. And the whole purpose behind that is what it means to live life aligned with your values. Because I believe it takes extreme courage to live life aligned by your values and not the values that your friends and your family and society wanted for you. And so that takes courage. And that's also the immediate path to finding like fulfillment in life, not happiness, but fulfillment, you know? And so there's a difference between the two. But I have spent a lot of time working with a very diverse group of people. And I did that specifically to discover what my niche was versus just deciding what it was one day and going out there. I want to say, who gravitates towards me? Who naturally comes my way, and who do I love working with? And so I found that I loved working with people who went through similar experiences as me. And that was typically high performers, like elite performers, executives, entrepreneurs. You know, they gravitated towards me the most because they saw me living a life that they were like longing for, but didn't know how to get into it. So they were on the verge of burnout, or they had burned out, and their performance was now starting to suffer. And like they had no family life, they had no life outside of work, and they just had no way to escape, you know? And so the funny thing is, a lot of them would approach me first for professional development, some kind of professional coaching.
Interesting.
As soon as they got into a conversation with me, it's like, dude, I'm suffering. I'm depressed. I need help. Like my family life. It was just a safe way for them to talk about life coaching. And so I stopped going by this whole executive coaching thing and just said, no, I'm like a mindset coach, life coach. Cause that's honestly what I do.
Mindset's everything.
I can't help you with any of your professional development if your mindset's garbage. It's just like building a house on just a crap foundation.
Yeah, I mean, it all starts with the foundation, and now such a reset for everybody. So, mindset's interesting. I don't want you to give away all your secrets here, all your trade secrets, but
I'll give you anything I want.
Open source here. Like when you first decide to engage with a potential client, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that most good coaches, they will have a pre-call first to make sure that somebody is open to being coached and that's aligning, right? But what is that? What is that process to see if somebody's aligned with your methods, your style, and to see if they're really receptive to if they're coachable?
First, if a client's willing to jump through a few hoops, a potential client to get to you, that says a lot to me. So if they're willing to go first through like an email screening, or if they go through my virtual assistant first now. And so she'll send a message out and she'll tell them exactly what I'm looking for and if this is the right fit. And I also make it very clear that this is going to be a paid coaching relationship first, that they are going to explore a, financial and time commitment. And if they fit some of that criteria about, like I just talked about, executives, high performers, elite performers, they fit all of that category and what they're looking for, then they respond and say, yes, that is what I want. I meet that stuff. And then she will help schedule the complimentary session. And look, I'm willing to invest some serious time into somebody in the beginning because this is a big deal. This is expensive.
Yeah, it's huge.
Because I'm giving people, I only work with 15 people at any given time because I want to be dedicated and committed to them over those next 6 months. So yeah, I'm going to invest some time because I need to see if it's the right fit. Not for just you. Not you. You're not just picking me. I'm picking you too, because I want to work with people that I'd want in my inner circle. These are people I'm like, yeah, we aligned. There's
the people you want on your team. You want this is your team because this is your job. This is your business, and you're choosing the people that you work with, and they're choosing with you. It's very much like dating. Right. Yeah. Is there are there a couple of initial questions so you can kind of gauge their current mindset? Like, how do you do that litmus test for their current mindset?
Yeah. I have a series of 5 questions that go out to them when they schedule the appointment. And I think one of them that I think is really of value is asking them, where do you give your power away and to whom? And that question throws a lot of people off. They're like, where do I give my power away? And it's a time to get very honest. And think to yourself, like, where in my life am I? Because a lot of people say, oh, people are robbing me of my energy. People are taking from me. I'm like, no, you're giving it to them. Nobody steals from you unless you give it to them. So that question gets a lot of people thinking and gets their head in the right space too. And I also ask them too, like, look, if you're paying $100,000 for this, what would you want out of it? Because honestly, I'm going to act like $100,000 coach anyways. I'm going to perform that way. Maybe I should charge that. But that's the whole thing. I'm like, what's the big picture? I want to teach
your value.
How to dream big. So yeah, I give them some tough questions that go that introspective type questions. So they get an idea that, look, we're going to dive deep in this. So yeah, I only want to work with people that are willing to go to that vulnerable space. And
vulnerability. But that's another thing too. Vulnerability is an interesting thing, and it's a lot more than a buzzword. I mean, vulnerability, for me, I didn't really open up my vulnerability until probably a couple of years after, I left Vayner and I was going down the road of my new career path. And vulnerability for me was the first time when I was able to tell people my story of Vayner, of saying the word, I got fired. Yeah. I got let go. I got fired. For a while, I spun it as, I got, we parted ways. It wasn't right for me. But once I was able to share my story and really be open to exactly what happened there, because I don't let that one moment define my entire life. And it didn't predicate my future. But what it does is it allows me to be more relatable to people and say, hey, listen, everyone else, so many other people have been through the same thing. So many people have been in a situation where they might not be in the right job. They might have not been set up for success. Maybe like me, you weren't in a position mentally at that time to bring your A game. Wasn't the right place, wasn't the right time. And looking back on it, I could say I'm thankful for that 5 years ago, because I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. I'd probably be in some other career where I wasn't being fulfilled. right? But now I'm fulfilled in my career. I love what I do and everything. I want to take a quick pause and just recognize some of our fan club. Lorena Acosta, our #1 fan. I think I'm the co-president of her fan club and vice versa. Anthony, who I spoke with last week, just an incredible dude. Mark Noodleberg. Mark, what's happening, man? You and I are connecting, I think, on Thursday. Tracy, I don't know you too well. Oh, I know. Hi, Tracy. What's happening over there? And everyone else tuning in across all the other platforms. I know your time is valuable, so thank you all for spending some time on this Tuesday/Wednesday/Thursday/Sunday/ whatever day this feels like to you. Day with Matt and I. So Matt, you mind if we get a little personal?
Well, that's kind of my thing. So
yeah, that's kind of your thing.
That's
so
kind of my thing.
When Matt was on my show last Monday, and I know Matt's going through a lot during these times now. And if you don't mind me saying, you know, you're separated from your family because they are physically in Maine, I believe, right? In your in-laws' house up there. And as a parent, I got 2 small kids. I have an 8-year-old and an 8-year-old daughter, 1.5-year-old son. They're somewhere up there on my. They're over there somewhere on my mantle. There's nothing more than a parent in your heart wants is for our kids to be safe. Like, and you know in your heart that your kids are safe. How does that balance between knowing that they're safe and being physically apart from them feel?
It's a tug of war. You know, there are some moments where it just sucks, and then there are other moments where I'm grateful, and then there are a lot of moments where I feel both. You know, and you know, the other day was really tough because you know, they left on March 10th. This was supposed to be just like a spring break kind of vacation.
21 days ago, 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And so now it's, you know, unknown when we'll be reunited. But, you know, 2 days ago, he rode his bike for the first time without training wheels. And it was a moment of being so proud, but then a moment of like, well, I was supposed to be the guy holding the bike. You know, I was going to let go. He was going to do that. And so that was a hard moment where I had a pretty major pity party that day.
And rightfully so, man. It's okay to have that feeling. Oh, you're absolutely human. You're a fucking dad. Like, of course you're going to feel that.
No. And I gave myself that. Like, I just broke down, man. And it was really hard. But at the same time, being grateful that being proud of him, you know, again, he's totally disconnected from everything that's going on. He's in the woods. You know, there's no one bothering him out there. He's totally safe, you know. And so when he's around family that just loves him to death. So we FaceTime as much as possible. But, you know, it's not easy being in this space surrounded by his artwork and toys and just like seeing the shadows of a family life, you know. And so it took, I'm not going to lie, it took a couple weeks to really find a way to get moving again, you know. And so the first thing that happened was I stopped sleeping properly. And then once I stopped sleeping right, then my nutrition goes downhill because my body starts wanting carbs and sugars. I stop working out because I don't feel good. And then when I stop working out, I stop reaching out to people. I isolate, and then it goes to depression. So it all starts with sleep. And so I got back onto my sleep schedule yesterday, and I woke up this morning feeling great.
You were telling me that when you came on it. It all starts with being energized, right? You have to have your body, you know, we're in this weird place, man. We're in a very weird place, but at least you know that your family's safe and you know that you're going to be reunited with them. This is temporary. This is temporary. This is not, you know, this is temporary. This is not, you know, this is awful. Like, don't get us wrong. What's happening right now in the world, what's happening in the States, what's happening here in New York and so many other cities is horrible. But it is preventable to an extent. And we will prevail and we will get back to it. But you have to have that faith and you have to believe in deeply in your faith right now. Yeah. And knowing that your kids are in a better, they're in a good spot right now. They're safe.
And I've made peace with the fact that I'm probably going to miss his birthday, you know, at the end of April. Like, that's more than likely going to happen. You know, if it happens, it happens. But, you know, I'm going to make the best out of it. And I'm going to utilize this time the best that I can. But you talked earlier about, you know, feeling powerless. You know, we don't have control a lot of this situation. We don't. But you do have total control over those supply lines, I call them, because that's what I focused on, getting healthy. I can't control I couldn't control the the illnesses that I had. But I could control my sleep, my nutrition, my prayer time, my fitness, and my inner circle of friends. Total control over those 5 things. Every human being does. And so once you focus on those basic needs, man, your mindset's going to be solid as a rock. It makes you almost bulletproof to the outside stresses of the world. So get on track with those things now.
Absolutely. And how are you dealing with the isolation? It's tough, right? Like, you know, I mean, I have I have plenty of people around me, and I'm almost kind of like I'm missing the isolation. I would like a little bit of isolation. But are you finding those silver linings in the isolation, like so much introspective thought and so much time alone to really go back to those passions that are reinvigorating you? So when they do come back, you're gonna be like, you're gonna grab your son and you're just gonna jam on the guitar and show him stuff and like what you just learned and throw on some records that you haven't heard in a number of years. Like, let's talk about the silver linings of isolation.
Well, you know, I want to reframe the word isolation to solitude. Isolation feels like a retreat, like a running away from something. Solitude is a place of recharge and a place of being introspective. And so if I reframe it to that, I'm in a better mindset. I don't know if I give off the energy or not, but I'm a raging extrovert. And so human connection.
If you can't tell,
big, you know,
he's also wearing a weighted vest for anybody who's just listening to this show.
No, these are explosives. I'm ready to go at any time.
He's good to go.
But no, like the solitude piece, I am learning to value that, because I always have. As I've gotten older, I've learned to value solitude, just a place to be grateful. And so the first thing I did was I created a space, because I really value physical environment. Like I need a good physical environment, a place to feel safe, a place to recharge. So I use this tiny backyard. I'm in a small apartment right now.
I saw that picture, man. Yeah, and you're in Austin, right? What part of Austin are you in?
I'm South Austin. I'm about 5 minutes from downtown. So
okay, cool.
I'm in a good location, but I got a beautiful house out in Lakeway near the lake, just outside. But I lease it out now so we can travel more and be separated. But yeah, I took my backyard. I put down some simple stuff just to make it nice. A little bit of mulch, a little bit of like a little fire pit, some tables. Like I got old Christmas lights that were free that are white. And so, yeah, it's a little happy place, man. Yeah, it's thrilled. So I'm playing records. You know, I've been playing 8-tracks because I got a little portable 8-track player. So my Bluetooth speaker broke. So I popped in some Led Zeppelin on an 8-track player. So,
oh man, it's a different sound. It's a different, it's a different aesthetic, right? It's a different audio aesthetic on the vinyl versus the 8-track versus digital versus streaming, right?
There's so many. Yeah, portable 8-track. It sounds like garbage, but it was so much fun. So it was great. You know, it just, you know, you get creative and resourceful during this time period, or you can just be totally miserable, or you can be totally crippled by the possibilities of what to do. I've heard so many people going, there's so much I could be doing. I need to utilize this time. I need to take advantage of it. And so they just think about, how am I going to do that? I'm like, just do something. And so you won't
just take action. Just take action.
Poke around, try some different stuff, you know? So I've been doing that, but I'll be honest with everybody. I had some very down days, and I ate a lot of cereal, and I just sat around. You know, today was a great day where I said, you know, I'm going to wear pants. Like, this is a big day for me. I'm going to put pants on. So, you know, there are things to celebrate right now, but just because we have all this time, it's overwhelming. It's almost too much.
Yeah, you got to find your outlets out there. And listen, there's some people that, you know, I'm lucky. I have a very good situation here. I mean, I lost my office space because it's a public space, got closed. So now I'm broadcasting, you know, from my den, which at first I was a little hesitant on, and now I really love it. You know, I'm in my baseball seats. These are my prized possession. I'm sitting, and you really can't see them here.
Man, I love that.
These are seats for Shea Stadium here, that I love. And yeah, I'm a Mets fan, and like, I'll give you a little tour here. We redid this room last year. It was our least favorite room, but now look, it's literally, this is our happy place.
Yeah, baby.
Right. And we turned this room around, and it's our favorite room. We got the kids stuff there, and then behind me, I got the mantle. We got all of our tchotchkes up there. But this is our happy place, and it turned out to be, now it's my happy place. Sorry for the bad camera work here. But it's making the best out of a shitty situation. But the other part is, there's a lot of people out there that don't have this. So I'm very mindful about, you know, talking about what I have and my creative process and everything. And I think it's so crazy, dude, because we are physically so disconnected from everybody. But I feel this is the earth telling us to pause and reconnect with humanity, reconnect with our loved ones, reconnect with our family. And we're going to get through this, man.
Yeah, I'm encouraging a lot of my clients to start redesigning their life so that when things do pick back up, they can figure out how to design their work now, their career around that life. We got to find a way to take some of the things that we design right now and hold them sacred and not just forget about them, because it'd be so easy to go back to business as usual. So I hope that this is a redefining moment and a call out to people's lives. So, but yeah, there's so many ways to stay connected with people. And so I've done my best to try and FaceTime now, do Zoom calls, you know, whatever possible. Like, look, performing music is a big thing for me. Like, I love to perform open mics. I sing usually every week. I do a set. and it keeps me off the news. It makes me happy, you know? And so,
positive.
Yeah. But now there's like a Facebook group, the karaoke quarantine, you know, and they've got a couple 100,000 people on there now. It started
crazy.
2 weeks ago, and you go on there, you can submit videos, you could play live. So, you know, some nights I've gone in there, I've just played for an hour live, and there's people all over the country that are listening in, and
hey, you got new fans.
Yeah, it's new fans. And sometimes I just start talking about, you know, I start doing almost pieces of the TED Talk that I was supposed to deliver 2 weeks ago, and I'll do it in November, but I just start sharing it with people. I'm like, hey, you know, but I'm there to serve, and I'll do it through music if I have to. And I don't care if I screw up or play bad. I'm just there to connect with people.
If you don't, I love it, man. If you don't mind giving us I don't want your whole TED Talk, but what's your TED Talk going to be about?
Well, the title of it is Live with a Courageous Heart. It will be about values. And honestly, it kind of starts with this idea of when I was a kid and being this, like, I was well known for being a champion at hide and seek, you know, as a kid. I loved that game. And
you beat Sasquatch. You beat Sasquatch at hide and seek.
Yeah. I would hide in dark spots and mud. I would hide in water if I had to.
You were a chameleon.
Whatever I had to do. But the cool thing about that game is that if somebody found you, they still had to tag you to be out. Like you had a chance to run like hell.
Right. It's one part to find you, but they still had to catch you.
So I run like hell. Good luck catching me, because we played at night. So it was awesome. Like we were like young teenagers at the time. And so I run like hell. And the thing is that I was so good at that game, I never stopped playing, because by the time I got older, I was still playing it in life. You know, and I was just doing it now in the real world. I was constantly hiding, you know, with these masks that I was wearing. And it got to the point where I couldn't find myself anymore. You know, I was so well hidden. And if anyone did get close enough to see me, to see who I really was, I'd run. Like, I'd run. I wouldn't let anybody see what was going on underneath. I had to check off all these boxes and be the good boy and be successful. And so, yeah, I lived life with values that were defined by others, and I allowed myself to, but I stayed hidden for a long time.
That's deep, man. I'm really looking forward to eventually hearing that in November. So Matt, I want to close things off here with a couple of questions that I love asking every guest, because the perspective is incredible. What's the greatest piece of advice that you've ever received that you take action on every single day?
Greatest piece of advice that I've received. Sorry, I wasn't trying to lower my voice. Allergies.
I'm gonna talk lower.
Let's get personal. But probably the best advice, you know, that I've heard is that I've been given is just like, you know, quitters stay down, you know, winners get back up. Next to also, money is infinite and time is finite. And that one's really powerful to me, because I know myself at one point in time, and I know others that really put their value into money. And money is always going to be there at some level, but your time is finite. You only have so much of that. And so you got to decide, how do you want to spend that time? Do you want to spend it chasing money? Do you think that's really going to make you happy? You know, hey, your kids are happy. They're going on vacations. They got all this stuff, but they don't have you. So what are you trying to teach them? So we've got only so much time in this world, and I have to constantly remind myself of that, along with, you know, even my own, not to say it's my own advice, but it's my own identity that I choose to take on. And that is the courageous heart. And that identity statement says, I am the courageous heart that passionately beats to serve and empower the hurt, broken, and lost. That's an identity, a purpose for me in life, not just a career, that I remember every single day when I step out of bed. I'm like, I got to remember who I am in life, and that's how I walk through every day.
That's powerful, man. Thank you for sharing. And Matt, what, you know, during this time, I mean, I only know you for about an hour and 15 minutes total of life right now, but I'm getting a good sense of kind of, I'm scratching the surface here, and I know that you're seeing the positive in this every single damn day. You see the positive, you see the light here. What's that one big silver lining that you've experienced so far?
You know, there are days when I feel like I've been training for this event my whole life, because I've already been through a lot of stuff. But I think the silver lining is how I can serve others right now, because I am no beginner to adversity, you know, and so I feel like this is my chance to step up and serve. So I can be there for people right now. And I've got people who'll be there for me. So yeah, this is a chance to be, I'm forced to be alone right now and to take some introspective time. I'm also challenged to face some of my own stuff that would really trigger me during these time periods. And I really don't want to, but I'm being challenged. I do the work too. I want everyone to know that I do my own work. I'm not perfect. I got my stuff and I have my own coach. I got my own circle, but that's been the biggest thing, is knowing that I've been training for this my whole life. And this is a time where I can serve. And I'm not talking about a career perspective here, just serving the world. And that's why I put my number out there recently. I was like, look, you got stuff going on, call me, text me. I'm here for you anytime. I got you. You know, and I just want people to know they're heard and they're seen. Even if they don't call or text me, you're heard, you're seen, you're not alone.
I love it, man. And last but not least, you've been through some dark times when you've had to really dig down deep and harness that inner tenacity. And on the other side of that too, when we get through this, when your son was born, you know, and you wanted to show extreme gratitude, what pulled you up, Matt? What is your North Star?
Oh, that's faith. Yeah. No, for me, like, it's God. Like, I've got a lot of faith. Even when I was angry at God and I was mad, you know, you have to believe in one in order to be angry at one. So, you know, yeah, I lean into faith quite a bit, you know, and so, and there's honestly, on my LinkedIn profile, you know, I'm not preachy about it, but like in my LinkedIn profile, I've right on my headline, I've got a scripture there. It's a value of mine. I'm not going to hide it. You know, people told me you can't talk about it on LinkedIn. I'm like, well, I can talk about anything. I'm not Bible thumping. I'm just sharing my value. But that scripture just says 1 Samuel 17:48. It just says David ran towards Goliath. And I'm like, that's my jam, man. What giants am I supposed to be running towards today?
Slay them.
All of you, like, look, you got a giant in your life. Are you running towards it or are you retreating? You know, so you can't give that power away to that giant. You run towards that thing and you'd be surprised. Actually, it's not that big of a giant after all. Once you start running towards it, it's actually pretty small.
And the closer you get to it, the smaller it gets.
Yeah.
Matt, I love our conversation today, brother.
Me too.
This is a good one. Aho. Yeah. Where could folks find you? Where could they connect with you? Where could they learn more?
You can't see me in person because that's dangerous.
He's got the bomb vest on.
I'm a disease-free person, actually. But look, you want to connect with me? I don't have a finished website. I've never needed one, but LinkedIn is where I do probably 70% of my business. Find me on LinkedIn. Let's chat. But direct messaging is usually hard for me there. So connect with me there, but you can email me, matt@lifestorycoaching.net. And you can find me on Instagram. This is probably a conversation for another day, but I'm learning to transition from the life story coaching brand to my own personal brand, you know, and that was a weird choice because I was like, is it all about me? But that's how people recognize me. So you can find me on Instagram now at I am Matt Gagnon, Gagnon. But yeah, reach out to me anytime. I just love connecting with epic people.
Awesome, man. And everyone following along on the stream, thank you so much for spending some time saying hello to everybody on Twitch, which I just signed up for, everyone on my Facebook page, which we signed up for, and everyone obviously on LinkedIn, you know, my home turf. Certainly appreciate everyone joining us on the podcast. I have a crazy week coming up. Tomorrow, I am talking to, I don't want to mispronounce his last name, Luke Kasunik from Kansas City, Missouri. Him and his crew out there have built a pretty cool Gen Z social marketing agency. So I want to talk to a Gen Zer and make myself feel real old, Matt. That'll be fun. I'm going to try not to be the old man in the room. Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, I am having a happy hour with my main man, Bon and Bo. I don't know if you know Bon and some man. Check him out. The guy's been around the block a few times. And then Friday, I'm going to wrap it up with my true, my soul brother and my complete spirit animal, Dave Meltzer, someone that I absolutely love. Dave's going to be on at 1:00 p.m. Eastern time. I'm also recording tomorrow with Dawn Burke. We're going to have a great chat about recruitment branding. It's incredible. So I'm doubling down on my content. I'm doing a lot there. And tomorrow's also a big day for me, and I'll talk about it tomorrow. It's my 5-year ex-Vaynerversary. 5 years since Gary said, get the hell out, but I love you. I get the hell out, but I love you. You don't got to leave, but you can't stay here. And I love Gary, and maybe he'll have me on his Tea with Gary V at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll see if I will make a special guest appearance. But Matt, let's keep the conversation going, and everyone following us, thank you for joining us on the podcast live. We'll be back tomorrow at noon Eastern time. Catch us then. Take care, everybody.